President at Capital Research Center and the author of Dark Money, Exposing Arabella's Advisors, the Dark Money Network of Leftist Billionaires, secretly transforming America, and the left will deny that it even happens. But it does. Let's welcome Scott Walter. Hi, Scott.
Hello, great to be with you.
Yeah, it's great to have you. I'm so glad you wrote this book.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, good job. Yay. Bunch of cheerleading claps for him, because this gravy train that the left has from not just Soros, but Zuckerberg and Mr. Microsoft, too, whose name I always forget. Don't know why. Thank you, Bill Gates. You would think I would know, one of the richest guys in America, but he's almost irrelevant at this point. They control the left, don't they?
They certainly do.
Yeah. So I feel like this should be illegal. I know it's not, because you can't tell people that they can't give their money to certain individuals. There are limits in some areas, but in your book you point out how they very sneakily get it done. They do a lot of nefarious things when it comes to protests. They urge people to almost be like an antifada when it comes to American politics. It's kind of crazy how much power they have.
It is, and Arabella is absolutely at their service. Government of the billionaires, by the billionaires, for the billionaires.
Yep. And why is that?
Well, one of the things to try to get across in all our work is that the nonprofit tail wags the Democratic Party dog. Right? It is much more important who's running Arabella or the Ford Foundation or Open Society Foundation than whoever's chairing the Democrat National Committee this afternoon. And I think the reason for that on the billionaire side is simple. The Democratic Party will do what they want, 70, 80% of the time, but parties do care somewhat about those voters because, they're kind of important to keeping a party going. So sometimes they won't do what the billionaires want. However, the places like Arabella and its nonprofits where the billionaires write the checks, they'll do what they want 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, Warren Buffett is in on this, too. I shouldn't have left him out. But you call this dark money in your book. What do you mean by dark money, so people understand?
Sure. The term was coined by the left because they wanted to pretend that only conservatives did anything like this. But the idea is that there are various entities, 501c4s and 527s and all that other DC talk.
Yeah.
Entities like that can take money in and then send it out, and you don't know whose money is coming out, right? So Arabella runs nonprofits. They create hundreds of fake groups, and then and the Zuckerbergs and Gates and Soroses and the rest put money into an Arabella nonprofit, but you don't know which of the dozens and dozens of projects where the money's coming out. Was that Soros's money? Was that Gates's money? Zuckerberg's? Nobody knows.
All right. And so if you feel some kind of way about the right or the left, you want to know where the money's going. I want to know where it is.
Sure.
Okay. So with that being said, they never help the right. They seem to be hell-bent on socialism, which is very weird to me that rich people want socialism because they got rich off of capitalism. So they just not want other people to catch up with them, or what's the deal?
Well, first of all, of course, they've got money so they don't have to worry about it so much, right?
Yeah,
second, sometimes they're making more money off this stuff, right? So there are big accusations. I can't claim to have proved them myself, but there are big accusations, for instance, that Bill Gates' philanthropies are manipulating the markets, medical markets, that enrich medical companies, for-profit companies he's got. He and Soros are invested heavily in some of the enviro things like Rivian and whatnot that federal subsidies that they advocate, that their nonprofits advocate for, boost the profits there. So sometimes they're making money, but I think the biggest motivation is control.
Yeah.
Right? The ordinary person thinks if I had $1 billion, I'd just lie around on my yacht or at the beach or, But apparently that's not what happens when you actually have $1 billion. It's much more tempting to control everybody else.
That's so true. Gosh, if I were rich, nobody would even hear from me because they'd just be asking for money. I'd be like, I'm out. I'm just going to go do my thing. Not these guys. It seems like the richer, and I'm sorry to say this, guys, but the richer men get, the more they like to take control of other people. Why is that?
Well, I think Plato and the Bible would both say, man's wants are infinite. You think, if I had $1 billion, I wouldn't want anything. It's like, no, actually, it might be you want a lot more.
Yeah, I guess you can never get too rich, and I shouldn't say men. I know Kylie Jenner, Kim Kardashian, I get it. Taylor Swift, I get them. And it seems like all of them side with the left because they think it's the cutesy thing to do, that people are going to love them more if they feel sorry for the poor, but yet they give nothing to them. That's the part that cracks me up. And this Arabella is I'd never heard of it before. Why haven't I heard of this? Is it well hidden?
It is well hidden. Let me brag. Not me, but my team were the first people ever to unearth it. Back in 2018, my folks found it, and we have been doing since then. Have been exposing it, but we were the very first ever left, right, or center to write about it. And of course, to be fair, the New York Times has done a tiny number of stories on it, but it took them years to do it because the mainstream media is going to cover up for Buffett or Soros or whatever who's helping the left.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, and when they do help the left, it's not always in a way that is good for America. So they are assisting the Democrat Party. I think the way they went after Brett Kavanaugh, that had to be Soros invested. And all of these guys have to be part of these protests because I see the same people in the pictures at every single protest. So is there any truth, Scott, to the fact that when Donald Trump or any Republican is doing something they don't like, do they really buy baseball bats and send crates and pallets of bricks and stuff to those places so that people can destroy the property of private citizens?
Yeah, well, the short answer is that Arabella is one of the best evidences that the left wants you always to think that any protest or any ad you see on Facebook complaining about something, that it's just organic, ordinary Americans outraged over something, when in fact it's rarely that. It's usually very organized and sometimes entirely fake groups putting things together. In the case of the recent riots, of course, yeah, you see people, you see a big truck that show up with pre-printed signs and this, that, and the other. Well, obviously somebody's organizing that.
Mm-hmm. They have to be. And like I said, Scott, if you look at the pictures, you always see three. You got to look for them. It's like a Where's Waldo situation. But you can find them. You'll find that one chick with the dark hair. She's in every picture. There's an older woman with like stop sign glasses. You'll see her in every picture. They're everywhere. They're at all of these different cities. Why are they at all these different cities, and how can they afford to be everywhere?
Well, the shortest answer is, probably mental disease. But to be fair, you have a handful of wild-eyed activists, and the explanation for why that, well, wait a minute, they were at the George Floyd riots. Wait a minute, they were at the Ferguson riots. And the answer is, as a lefty radical in the 60s with Students for Democratic Society, gave the perfect line. The issue is never the issue. The issue is always the revolution, which is to say, it doesn't matter what the excuse for going out in the street this afternoon happens to be. We don't give a darn what it is. It's whatever is, hip and happening for the moment. But we're always going to be out there because we want to destroy America as she is. We hate her. In fact, we probably hate the whole world, all reality. So,
yeah. Well, it's not just Soros. I mean, if it was just Soros, he'd be broke by now. So they must be pooling their money.
Oh, well, this is the important thing. Soros is as bad as you think, but you need to go to capitalresearch.org or influencewatch.org and discover, oh, my God, the left has a lot of Soroses.
Mm-hmm. Please help me understand, Scott. Why are people with so much money pushing this woke agenda, and the ideology of the left right now is so far out of tune with what America is and wants to be? Why are they pushing so hard for this? It can't just be power, because some of this doesn't create power. It creates confusion. Is that what they want?
Well, yes. I mean, and by the way, those aren't necessarily opposed, right? If you produce chaos, people might be desperate and cling to anything that, any kind of order, right? And tyranny is a kind of order. It's an evil order, but it's order, and it's different from, absolute chaos on the streets. So, people ask me, why does Soros fund prosecutors who want to put out rapists and murderers and stuff? That's just crazy. And the answer is, well, that's chaos and horror, and if people are terrified and hiding in their homes and the rest, well, again, it's easier to get power and control because people get desperate and grasp at anything.
So, and I think that's where we're at right now. A lot of people were terrified for quite a few years, and now we're just mad. Those of us on the right, we're mad, and we're finally standing up. And we're sticking up for our president, and we're just not taking no for an answer when it comes to saying good things about him, because this man is doing an incredible job. But Arabella and the dark money people are going to continue to try to deface his reputation and hold him back, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they were behind all kinds of efforts to get his cabinet members thrown out, and they're pushing all the lawsuits and the lawfare that went on in between the last two elections. And oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's very upsetting to me that chaos is their brand, because nobody wants to live in a chaotic country. Illegal immigration is also something they supported heavy-handedly. And can you help us understand why they would want that?
Well, again, I think there's multiple reasons, right? First of all, it does bring chaos in many places, in not just along the border, but in big cities where they were shipping illegal immigrants. And of course, they have long thought that we just need to register more and more people, and then we'll be sure to have, then they'll vote us into power.
Well, yeah, they do believe if you bring illegals in, they will vote for them. But I think they were unhappily shocked when they found out that a lot of the Hispanic people who came were very Christian and vote. And if they were allowed to vote, they did not vote for Democrats.
Well, plus the Hispanic voters already here, they're the ones who typically had their neighborhoods torn up the most by the illegal immigration. I love the fact that Trump won the most Hispanic county in the country, which is right on the Texas border, and of course is suffering horribly from this disaster. My nice little neighborhood in my suburb, we're not suffering from the immigration invasion right in the neighborhood, but the folks along the border sure are. Right. So, yeah.
They don't want them here either because they came here the right way. I love that you wrote this book. I'm going to be honest, I was reading yesterday, trying to get all the way through it, but it's very technical for me to try to understand all of the things that you have in here. You really did your homework. And if somebody wants to know exactly what's going on and why things are kind of hell in a handbasket when it comes to the left, and there's so much confusion about who's in charge of what and why they are the way they are, this book will explain it to you. It's called Arabella, the dark money network of leftist billionaires secretly transforming America, or trying to. And this is the revised and expanded edition. Where did they get this, Scott?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, anywhere that you buy books.
All right. And it is prescribed reading if you want to understand why we have to get as far away from these kind of people as possible. Thanks for coming on today, Scott. I appreciate you.
Great to be with you.
Bye-bye.